Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so since I recorded yesterday, it has been confirmed that, Russia did knock out half of the electrical generation across all of Ukraine. And now, prior to this, you got to remember that the nuclear plant had to stop transmitting electricity because of shelling. And Ukraine says Russia was doing the shelling. Russia says that Ukraine was doing the shelling. Which one makes the most sense? With I'll say again, with Russian forces and the IAEA, who inspectors who Russia had been requesting since June. Which one makes the most sense? I lean toward Ukraine doing the shelling. But, anyway, so the nuclear plant had to stop transmitting electricity. And now Russia did actually attack the communications and electrical transmission, which knocks out more communications and water and gas delivery capabilities for Ukraine, for the whole country. I'm hearing different people that are saying that Russia may be escalating this and may declare Ukrainian forces to be a terrorist organization. I actually do not agree with this. To declare the Ukrainian military a terrorist organization does not justify attacking civilian infrastructure. Now, there are no reports of any casualties because of the attacks on these facilities. There may have been a few if there were workers on site at those facilities at the time, but basically Ukraine isn't going to talk about it very much, even if they can. But this is why I say that this is a psyop. Imagine being in a country that is at an active military confrontation with a much larger military force, and all of your communications, or at least half of your communications and your power is knocked out. This does a number of things. To restore... Oh, I want to go back to the nuclear plant. With the nuclear plant, the power was knocked out, and the cooling system now needs external power supplied. I imagine what's going to happen there is that Russia's going to bring in external mobile generators. Chernobyl was also shelled earlier this year by Ukraine, and they knocked out the power, external power source. Well, what Russia did was bring in mobile generators at first, and then they ran a power line from Belarus to Chernobyl. Now, if you look at a map, that is no small distance. And they managed to do this in 2 days. I mean, this had to be dozens of miles at least. And they managed to do this in 2 days. If nothing else, you really have to respect the logistics that are involved in this to keep things going. So, again, I don't know what's happening with the current with the power plant right now, but there's no reports of any, meltdown or impending meltdown or radiation leaks or anything like that. So that's what's important there. All right, so imagine being there. Your power, your water, your gas are all turned off. Your communications are spotty at best. And for one thing, you're going to severely impact the ability of the state media, which is all the media in Ukraine is state media now. They can't put out as much propaganda or as effectively. And what they're doing and what they are trying to do is trying to calm people down. Because you're going to have mass panic, but with the state media, they're not going to report on that. Now, from Western media reporting, they're barely mentioning, if they're mentioning at all, the fact that the power's been knocked out and the communications have been impacted. But, Russia did this right after withdrawing from Kherson. Even Western media is admitting, and Ukrainian reports are admitting, that when the Ukrainians moved into the Kharkov region, there was no resistance because the Russian and DPR forces had already evacuated. There was nobody to offer any resistance. They did attack those forces and take out 4,000 dead and 8,000 injured, but that was by airstrikes, drones, etc. It was not ground troops that did this. Again, I don't believe that they're going to do this, but this does signify a new phase in the Russian operation. Oh yeah, the Western media was talking about, Russia said, well, do you want to have peace talks? As though the Kharkov, as though Kharkov was the only thing that happened during that time, and not mentioning the power and the communications. There's a lot more to this. You always have to look at what you're not being told. So, where the claims of terrorism come in, I could genuinely see Russia declaring the forces that are attacking the nuclear plant to be a terrorist organization, a terrorist attack. I've said before, this is a suicidal act in itself. This is a suicide attack. And when you are placing thousands of lives at risk in the short term and hundreds of millions of lives at risk in the long term, you cannot define this as anything but a terrorist act. And the nuclear plant has been shelled at least 30 times. The IAEA inspectors have determined that the plant has been attacked numerous times. This wasn't just one attack. This has been over and over. The IAEA inspectors have not assigned blame. They've said that that's not their role. But, the UN doesn't seem to have any problem assigning blame elsewhere But in a case where hundreds of millions of lives are at risk, they refuse to assign blame. Even when their own inspectors' lives were placed at immediate risk, they did turn around and thank the Russian forces for keeping them safe in that instance. But as far as the attacks, the shelling of the plant, they will not assign blame. You really got to question that kind of decision. But the IAEA said that all shelling in and around, targeting the plant or the surrounding area of the plant needs to stop, and it hasn't stopped. So anyway, something else that this impacts is that to restore power, they're going to have to bring in. They may be able to restore power to some areas, but then what if you've got the risk of Russia targeting those same facilities all over again? And so, I mean, if they restore it and it gets knocked out, restore it, it gets knocked out. And in the interim, they're going to have to use diesel generators, at least for hospitals, which they have to keep the hospitals and government installations functioning. Well, so you're using diesel, which you're taking diesel away from the military forces on the front lines. And I mean, Ukraine has to import their fuel. They're not able to produce their own fuel. They're importing it. So what are you going to do there? So something else that you are going to impact here. By no other choice, the primary concern after hospitals and public governmental buildings and facilities, your first concern is going to have to be restoring power and communications for the civilian population that remains in the country. Well, that means that you're going to take power away from any remaining industrial manufacturing capacity, which if they've got any remaining weapons production capacity left, well, now you might be impacting that. I expect to see another wave of evacuations probably going on right now out of Ukraine. But they're not going to allow men from 18 to 60 or 65 to leave the country. And most of those people that are remaining that have not joined the military have not joined because they don't want to fight. They do not support this conflict. They cannot speak out and say, no, we want you to engage in peace talks, because if you even say that, you will be arrested, probably tortured, and imprisoned, if you're lucky. So what this is all about is a psyop to just demoralize, reduce the support for the conflict which has remained. And if you've seen videos online in Kiev and other cities in Ukraine, they've been holding big street parties and kicking around barrels with the Russian flag painted on them. That's, If you don't engage in it, well, then you're going to be targeted yourself. So it's questionable how much actual enthusiasm there is here, as opposed to, well, I don't have a choice, I've got to do this. And there are absolutely reasons that those videos are being posted on state media. It's to make it look like the support is much greater than it is. But remember, Zelensky ran on a platform and was elected on a platform of ending the Donbass conflict. That was in 2019. For all the people that claim that there was no Donbass conflict, then explain what his platform was if the conflict wasn't happening. Explain why people voted for him based on that platform. So I think that this is all coming to an end pretty soon. I don't know what this is. This is a change from the special military operation, because prior to this, the special military operation defined that they would not attack any civilian infrastructure. So this is a change. What kind of change? How much of a change? Does it signal an escalation? So far, there's no real indication of a mass movement or activation of troops. No big mobilization is taking place that has been announced or indicated. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens from here. But I do believe that it's going to happen rapidly, because I think Russia wants to actually get this to a point of sitting down and negotiating before winter comes in. Now, it's not World War I or World War II. You know, they may change their format of fighting to being more aerial than ground if winter does come in. But rains are going to start soon. Snow after that. It is going to be a problem for both sides. And I don't think that they want to continue this for years like the West does. I do not believe that they want that. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And again, I have been in favor of peace talks since 2014. I'm still in favor of peace talks, not warfare. I do not support either side of this. The fact is, I just laugh at the propaganda being thrown around, and I try to reveal what the truth is. All right, so thank you very much for watching. Share this video, talk about these subjects, and have a good day.